Welcome to Maine Stands Up for the Rule of Law. Right now, there are 48 cities participating in this event across the country where they're all standing at or near their federal courthouses in order to protest, as well as reinforce our Constitution. I should say protest what's happening to our Constitution, but reinforce what our beliefs are under the Constitution. I'm sorry, I changed my mind on that, so I went somewhere else. But anyway, so these 48 cities, there's actually, Washington, D.C. is the biggest. There's a live stream going on, but I couldn't get it on my phone. But it would be a little small for you all to see it. But right now, we are standing with ordinary people and non-ordinary lawyers to be able to support upholding the rule of law, due process, protection of fundamental rights, freedom of defending judicial independence amid threats. So I'm Barbara Cray. Thank you. I love a few fans. And I'm in my white suit, suffrage white, because of the women getting an amendment to the Constitution to allow them the right to vote. And that shows you that our Constitution is a living document. It's valid, it's important, and we need to observe everything it provides. And if we need to change something, there's a way for us to do that. I'm a lawyer in California and now in Maine. I currently am part of a constitutional scheme myself, working as a court-appointed attorney representing criminal defendants. I get appointed by the court for their Sixth Amendment right to counsel here in Maine. Thank you. So this is a rally that's a little bit different because there's a lot of lawyers here. But that's really good. And you general public people, to the lawyers, I want you to applaud every one of them because they have decided to sign on again to their oath to the Constitution of the state of Maine and the United States. So this is part of Law Day. That was established by Dwight Eisenhower in the 50s whoops, sorry. No perfection in this. Anyway, it was for the nation to remember with pride and vigilantly guard its great heritage of liberty, justice, and equality under the law. So we now need to be the people, the lawyers who are about the law, and the rest of us as the people need to vigilantly guard our Constitution and our constitutional rights. And thank you. And the people have been coming out to everything. It's we the people. It starts with we the people. And then it gets divided into three separate and equal branches of government that have protections against usurping power by the other branches. That is being lost on a lot of people right now. I don't know if everyone knows it, but they should know that by now. And so what we're having is an executive branch, which has gone way beyond the pale of what an executive branch can do. We unfortunately have a Congress which is just stalled in craziness. And we have the courts. And the courts have been very good so far in upholding our rights. And one of our goals today, thank you. Okay, and one of our goals today is to let all those judges, state and federal, and those sitting over there know that we support them in being independent and making decisions under the law and not under threat. So I've always been really a geek of the Constitution. I always have my Constitution with me, and I have the Federalist Papers, which I consult all the time. And I wrote a college essay on the political theory of James Madison. I studied his books for a year, so that shows you I'm a bit of a geek. But at the same time, it's important to know where we came from, and I never thought in all my years since then that I would be here today, or here at all, having to defend a Constitution that's been attacked. So just a little bit more, so we can get our bearings here for laws and lawyers as well. In 1776, Thomas Paine declared the end of royal rule in the United States, and instead laws that came from the people to rule themselves. Thus, that's the rule of law, not by a king, not by a dictator. And these aren't abstract concepts, even though I studied them in a formal way. These are directly impacting every citizen's ability to have their rights protected and their voices heard. When the rule of law is weakened, our entire nation suffers. So I thank you all for being here. The time to act is now. There'll be more from these other speakers relating to the lawyers and what they're going to do. But I just greatly appreciate this wonderful crowd who's standing up for the rule of law. Maine stands up for the rule of law.
Wow, what a crowd. This is exciting. My name is Bill Harwood, and I'm thrilled to be here. Barbara, thank you for those words. That was great. I want to thank Barbara Cray and her group from Lawyers for Good Government. They've been a terrific partner in this effort and a leader in bringing this effort to a close. So we're really grateful to them. And thanks to Susan Fonts and our Maine State Bar Association. They've been terrific leaders throughout this difficult time, and they are here to sponsor this event today. And to my colleagues at Maine Lawyers for the Rule of Law, Peter Murray, David Webert, Chris Branson, Kelly McDonald, Sage Friedman, what a team. They have worked tirelessly. We are so lucky to have their leadership. I hate to think what the size of a legal bill might be if we had to pay for all the hours that they have put in over the last 2 weeks. And thanks to all of you for being here today. It's so heartwarming to see so many people come out for this important issue. And a special thanks to the 100 law firms, Maine law firms, and the 633 lawyers that signed our declaration. Let me say that again, 100 law firms and 633 lawyers. That's an incredible number. 100 law firms is virtually every law firm in the state. We have all of the largest law firms from Portland and Bangor, and many, many of the smaller law firms in the rural part of the state. We are all together on this issue. And the reason why we have so many is in part the text of the Declaration. It's a powerful statement that we can all relate to. Now, I won't take your valuable time and read the whole thing. You can see it today as a full-page ad in the Portland Press-Herald and a full-page ad in the Bangor Daily News with all 100 law firms and all 633 lawyers. But I want to give you the essence of it because it's really important. It's part of why we're here today. So bear with me. We, the undersigned Maine law firms and lawyers, stand united in supporting the fundamental principles of our legal system, including the right to counsel, the independence of legal profession, and the rule of law. Our justice system is premised on the principle that all individuals, regardless of their political, social, or economic standing, are entitled to representation. And any attempts to intimidate or penalize lawyers for representing clients whose interests do not align with those of the government are antithetical to our democracy, violate the rule of law, chill attorneys from fulfilling their ethical and professional obligations, and undermine our system of justice. So today, we call upon all branches of government to support the rule of law and the essential role of lawyers in our democracy, and to reject the use of the tremendous power of the government against members of the legal profession for simply performing their duty. And we call upon all of the public to reject any attempt to harass or intimidate lawyers or judges for doing their job. That is our declaration, and this is our time. This is the time for lawyers. This is the time for all of us to stand up, to stand together, and to stand strong for the rule of law and justice for all. Thank you very much.
I'm now going to introduce our very special speaker, Attorney General Aaron Fry. Excuse me. I knew I'd do that because if I look at it, I say it wrong. Fry, I'm sorry. We've covered that before too, but anyway. He is the 58th Attorney General of Maine. He was formerly a Democratic representative in the House. He has done magnificent work. He and his office have done magnificent work in challenging illegal attempts to deprive various groups of rights, monies, all sorts of things. And he is, in fact, suing the Trump administration relative to his taking away food benefits for children as a result of failing to file an illegal executive order. So we are very grateful to him, and here's Aaron Fry.
So I've been called worse than Frey, so I'll take it. Good afternoon. I want to first start off by thanking the Maine State Bar Association, the Lawyers for Good Government, the Maine Lawyers for the Rule of Law, all the law firms and attorneys who have put their names to their commitment to making sure that our Constitution and laws are fully upheld. But I also want to thank all of you, because it's coming out on days like this, for rallies like this, for conversations like this, that give life to our Constitution, right? That give life to our democracy, that give life to our commitment to the rule of law, which applies to everyone in our country. From the top to the bottom, everyone benefits from a robust adherence to the rule of law. So we join today to protect the rule of law and, of course, to, through our oaths, reconnect ourselves, recommit ourselves to this important work and to, frankly, the responsibility, right, of being an active steward of giving life to our Constitution and laws. Now, also having to go back to the Federalist Papers because of our times, I too am going to read from a Madison Federalist Paper, number 51, that I think talks about how important our Constitution is with respect to control on the government. So I quote from Federalist Paper number 51, "In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself." That last part is so fundamental to the permission that our Constitution gives the government to govern the people of our country, right? To govern what is happening in our country. And so our Constitution, it's a statement of our nation's most important principles. It provides not only the form that the government is to take, but it preserves to us, the people, through the rule of law, through the Constitution, a protection from an overreaching government. It places limits on that government's power and provides important checks and balances in how it is that the government can act, right? The legislative branch, the executive branch, the judicial branch, all of them have a role in making sure that the rule of law is upheld, and we demand and need energetic civic engagement that is demonstrated to upholding the principles that give life to our republic. So the oaths, right? So we all take oaths as attorneys to uphold the Constitution, to be good stewards of the law. As Attorney General and as a prior legislator, I also took an oath that has been given to every single state officer since the founding of our state, right? Every state officer that has ever taken to that, I'm connected to in the responsibility that I'm assuming when I take the power that is offered to me through the Constitution and government, right? Same as an attorney. I think we all here, all of us who took the Maine oath, I think we're told that it's one of the oldest legal oaths that's taken in the United States. Is that right? I've also taken Massachusetts, and they have the same speech about how they're really the oldest oath. So I don't know who's right, but I know that I've taken them both, so I'm covered, right? But please remember, we are all connected to those who accepted the responsibility of being shepherds of the law, of being faithful stewards of the law, of being subordinate to the law, going all the way back to when it is that our constitutions were founded. That is what connects us here today. So look, since the inauguration, there has been a lot of work that we as attorneys have had to do, right? For me in particular, we've all been forced to confront what has been an onslaught of actions that are testing our understanding, testing our patience, frankly, and how it is our legal system is going to be allowed to work. We've seen an attempt to rewrite the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. We've seen the withholding of congressionally directed funds that are intended for all sorts of important things. We've seen the crashing of our economy through the bringing of tariffs without any fidelity to the power that is given to Congress to levy tariffs. And we've also seen the way in which our country has treated immigrants without any due process. It has really challenged what it is for us as somebody who should be protected by the Constitution, seeing how our government is using its power against folks that are here in our country. For me, I've done what I believe I should be doing in order to be a good steward for Maine, right? I've worked to keep congressional funds flowing into Maine by bringing suit. I've worked to protect privacy from an unelected billionaire being able to go into the Treasury or other departments to take your information. I have filed suit to try to stop the illegal tariffs that have been brought to help reduce the chaos in our economy. And I've worked to protect Maine from an attempt to rewrite the law by the president when it comes to how we make sure that every student in our school systems has the right to be free from discrimination. That is work that I've been doing. And I've appreciated the support that so many in Maine have provided as we work through the judicial system to make sure that our understanding of what the Constitution and our laws provide, make sure that we're having that fair, impartial determination. So far, we've been having some success. I hope that continues to be the case. But let me flag that what we cannot do is we cannot allow there to be attacks on the judicial system. We can't threaten to impeach judges because we don't like what it is that they are deciding on the facts and the evidence. We cannot allow ourselves to have due process stripped, essentially depriving the courts of being the referee when we see our government bypass due process and just deport people out of the country, kick down doors, ripping children from their parents. We cannot allow that to happen if we want our Constitution to be given the life that it's expected to have. And let me just highlight one more thing, and that is my colleagues and I across the country, unfortunately my Democratic colleagues, but this should not be an exclusive political thing because Republicans, Democrats, unenrolleds, everybody is being hurt when the law is not followed, right? And so I appreciate that there are law firms and attorneys in Maine who have signed on to a commitment to following the law and not a person, because we have seen an attack on big law firms. We've seen an attack on firms that have taken positions that may be inconsistent with the current party in power, the current president in power, an attempt to strip clients access to those attorneys, and if clients use those attorneys, federal grants are going to be pulled. Some of these law firms have fought, and they are fighting hard to make sure that it's understood that they do not have to bend the knee because somebody is telling them that they can't represent the person that has come to their door saying that they need help. But there are some law firms that have taken a different course. And while I regret that they have been targeted and they felt that this was the way that they had to go, let me just caution that by bending the knee to an illegal executive order, they are legitimizing this unlawful attack on their profession. It has chilled others from taking on the important work that every single person in our country needs an attorney to do. And worse over, it has created an enormous war chest of pro bono or pro gratis legal funds, close to $1 billion that is now at the discretion of the president to be directed towards the priorities of the administration, right? So this gets me to, because we're a bunch of lawyers, or at least somebody who knew that they were coming to an event where there were a bunch of lawyers, I have to cite to a case, right? So in Walters versus National Association of Radiation Survivors, there was a case involving the government had said that attorneys can only charge so much in order to provide certain services. It was an old statute. It was under attack. And the Supreme Court there said, no, it's okay, you can limit that. But there was a dissent from then Justice John Paul Stevens, and I think this language is relevant to what it is that I just said. So in dissent, what he offered is, quote, if the government, in the guise of a paternalistic interest in protecting the citizens from his own providence, can deny him access to independent counsel of his choice, it can change the character of our free society. The citizen's right of access to an independent private bar is itself an aspect of liberty that is of critical importance in our democracy, and I reject the court's apparent awareness of the function of the independent lawyer as a guardian of our freedom. So then there's a footnote. Well, hold on, there's a footnote, right? Always do a footnote at a lawyer's event. Footnote 24 of this dissent is, quote, that function, this is the function of an independent lawyer, right? That function, however, was well understood by Jack Cade and his followers, characters who are often forgotten and whose most famous line is often misunderstood. Dick's statement, the first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers, was spoken by a rebel, not a friend of liberty. As a careful reading of that text will reveal, Shakespeare insightfully realized that disposing of lawyers is a step in the direction of a totalitarian form of government. So let me focus that on, if you are attacking our Constitution, if you are accepting the power that the Constitution gives you, but not accepting the limits to that power that you are supposed to abide by, that you took an oath to abide by, if you are attacking the courts for doing the job that they are supposed to do on the Constitution, if you are shirking your responsibility as a member of Congress, as a legislator, as an attorney general, or as a citizen and not holding the government accountable, we go down a path where silence is what is going to be at the end for our democracy. We cannot allow that to happen. We are all going to do our part as lawyers to make sure that the rule of law is given that life. Thank you for letting me join with you today, and thank you for your support in making sure that our Constitution is upheld.
I just want to say thank you to the Attorney General for his efforts on behalf of the state of Maine. My name is Kelly McDonald. I'm a lawyer at Murray, Plum & Murray here in Portland, but most importantly, I am a Maine lawyer, and today I am so proud to be a Maine lawyer. I think this is the only state in the country where so many lawyers have stood together with a unified voice to speak out for the rule of law. Well done. Susan Fonts is our next speaker. She is the current president of the Maine State Bar Association, of the Board of Governors of the Maine State Bar Association. The MSBA has 2,800 members and represents the interests of lawyers in this state. But a key part of its mission is to, quote, support the public interest in a fair and effective system of justice. And that is exactly what we are here today to do. Susan has been on the board for many years. I served with you for several of those years in various leadership positions. She has also served as the president of the Maine Trial Lawyers Association and on many court advisory committees. She practices at Berman and Simmons and works on medical malpractice and personal injury cases. Susan.
Short people can stand for justice too. So it's a beautiful day to see everybody out here. Good afternoon. I'm Susan Fonts. I'm president of the Maine State Bar Association. And I'm here today because upholding the rule of law aligns with MSBA's core mission. Our core mission is to promote the honor, dignity, and professionalism of lawyers while advancing the public's interest in a fair and effective system of justice. I am also here speaking today as a proud lawyer. We all chose to be lawyers because we believe that we would have the opportunity to help people of every background and every belief. We entered this profession to stand up for fairness, for justice, and for the rule of law. The rule of law is not just a phrase, it is the backbone of our democracy. It means that no one is above the law and that all people are entitled to the protection it affords. When we disagree with the law, we do what we as lawyers are trained to do. We advocate, we argue, we challenge. And when a court decides, we respect that decision, even when it's hard to accept, because that respect is what upholds our system and keeps it intact. We, as lawyers, believe in fair and impartial proceedings. We believe in the right to counsel. We believe that justice must be grounded in evidence and law, not in politics, not in pressure. We categorically reject the idea that any government can dictate who lawyers or law firms can choose to represent. And we reject the dangerous notion that judges should be punished or threatened for doing their jobs in rendering decisions according to the law and the facts. When we took our oath to become a lawyer, we swore to support and defend the Constitution of Maine and the Constitution of the United States. Today, more than ever, we know that oath was not ceremonial. It was a commitment to principle, to integrity, and to justice. So let us never forget that. Let us never stop defending it. The rule of law is just not the foundation of our profession, it is the promise of a just society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. Our final formal speaker is Chief Justice Daniel Wathen. He's a highly experienced and well-known Maine lawyer and jurist. He was first appointed as a judge to the Maine Superior Court by Governor Longley in 1977. In 1981, Governor Brennan appointed him to the Maine Supreme Judicial Court, and Governor McKernan appointed him as Chief Justice of that court in 1992. Now, for those who think it matters, and it shouldn't, that's one Republican, one Democratic, and one independent governor who all thought that Justice Wathen was the right person for the job. He served as Chief Justice for 9 years, capping off a 24-year career as a judge. Since hanging up his judicial robes, Chief Justice Wathen has been called on many times to handle difficult and complex matters, including most recently chairing the Independent Commission to investigate the facts of the tragedy in Lewiston. Chief Justice Wathen has a few words to share with you and will then administer the Maine Attorney's Oath to all Maine lawyers present. And for those who would like to read along, there are copies of that on that table back there. But he's going to walk you through it as well. Chief Justice Wathen.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. I didn't realize how many people were here because I was sitting down, but this is really a great gathering. I want to begin by saying that despite my youthful appearance, I've attended many Law Day ceremonies over the past 50 or 60 years, and we've always celebrated the rule of law because it's so central to our form of government and has served us so well for more than 230 years here in the United States. I'll straighten out one thing. The tradition started, as it was said in the Eisenhower administration. I believe I'm correct in saying that it was done to contrast with May Day in Soviet Union, which was a day where they paraded all their military might before I think the Lenin Mausoleum with all the leaders, the communist leaders standing on top, nodding, and we wanted to hold forth a different message. Our message was clear. It is our form of government and our rule of law that protects our freedoms. Our rule of law guarantees that laws duly enacted by Congress or our legislature will be faithfully executed by the state or the federal executive, subject to review by an independent and impartial court system, with aggrieved litigants served by independent counsel effectively representing their rights. Justice achieved through the rule of law is not a commodity to be made available only to those who can afford it. It must never be rationed. All individuals and entities, regardless of their political, social, or economic standing, are entitled to representation before an impartial tribunal to test the power of government to affect their person or their property. This foundational principle is not a privilege granted at the discretion of those in power. It is a cornerstone of our democracy and is enshrined in our Constitution and protected by our courts. Today, to highlight the historic importance of the rule of law, I'm going to ask the members of the Maine Bar who are present to reaffirm the solemn oath that they took upon admission to practice law. I'll straighten out one other thing. I believe it was Massachusetts is the oldest oath, but they didn't use it for several years, and Maine got ahead of them. Actually, Maine has the longest continuous use of a single oath. I'll cite Vincent McCusick, my predecessor. He always said that at every swearing-in ceremony I ever went to. It was passed down to us from Massachusetts. Despite its somewhat archaic language, it accurately describes our duty to support the Constitution and to uphold and protect the independent court system that we are all dependent upon. So I would ask the members of the Maine Bar to raise their right hands and repeat after me this ancient oath, which we've used in Maine for more time than the years that we've been a state, because we did it when we were part of Massachusetts. So let me read you the oath and you follow along. I do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Maine. I do affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Maine, so long as I continue a citizen thereof. I do affirm that I will do no falsehood, nor consent to the doing of any in court. And if I know of an intention to commit any, I will give knowledge thereof to the justices of the court or some of them. That it may be prevented. I will not wittingly or willingly promote or sue any false, groundless, or unlawful suit, nor give aid or consent to the same. I will delay no man for lucre or malice. But I will conduct myself in the office of an attorney within the courts, according to the best of my knowledge and discretion, and with all good fidelity as well to the courts as to my clients. Congratulations, you're all entitled to go out and enforce the Constitution of our state. Thank you very much. Thank all you folks for coming. It's really great.
We're on time. Lawyers are usually long and tedious. I'm really here to give the last words to our current Chief Justice of the Maine Supreme Judicial Court, Valerie Stanfill, who can't be here because judges have to be neutral. So they can't speak up for themselves. We have incredibly devoted, hardworking, wonderful judges in both the state court and federal court of Maine. It's one of the reasons I came to Maine. We have an amazing bench. So I want to end with her words. Before that, I'll just emphasize a couple key points, I think. I'm David Weber. I've been representing Maine people for over 30 years or so in civil rights cases against the state government, against the governors, against the federal government, against big companies. So the rule of law is not for lawyers. It's not for the judges. It is the people's rule of law. That's what it's about. And just to give you a few deliverables, we Americans know we have a presumption of innocence. That's part of being an American. Where does that come from? The Constitution, due process of law. That's in the Constitution. That's where that comes from. So without due process, we're all presumed guilty. And we're in the Soviet Union or Russia or China, where trials are show trials and fake trials, and the lawyers work for the government and do what the government says. Anybody want to live there? No! How about right to remain silent? Miranda warning. Anybody ever heard of that? Do we like that? We want to keep that? That's the rule of law. That's due process. No judges, no due process. The judges are the thing between us and our rights. If we don't have them, we have no rights. It's just paper. It means nothing. So that's the thing I really want to emphasize is the rule of law sounds like something for lawyers or judges. It's the opposite. The judges are public servants. Lawyers are supposed to be public servants. So the Chief Justice gave some comments recently, so she couldn't be here in person, but I did want to share with you her thoughts that are right on point in her recent public statements. The judiciary plays an integral role in maintaining the rule of law. The judicial branch does so through competent, ethical, and independent judges delivering justice in a timely and accessible fashion. We are all partners in upholding the rule of law, a phrase being bandied about these days. What is it? By rule of law, I mean that all people and institutions are accountable under laws that are publicly promulgated, equally enforced, and independently adjudicated. Laws that are publicly promulgated by the legislature, equally enforced by the executive, and independently adjudicated by the judiciary. It matters not whether I, speaking for herself, think a law is wise or foolish. The promulgation of laws is the role of the legislature. The role and duty of judges is to adjudicate independently, fairly, and in a timely fashion. These are the ideals and indeed requirements of our state and federal constitutions. And this was her call to action a couple months ago. I ask that you keep this in mind, the importance of the judicial branch, when you hear inaccurate or unjustified criticisms of judges and courts. Take action. Don't stand quietly by. Correct false or misleading assertions by your neighbors. Speak at schools. Write a letter to the editor. You should criticize the courts when appropriate, but do not let ad hominem attacks go unchallenged. Please do not be silent and allow public trust and confidence in our state court system to continue to erode. I think hopefully we've done the Chief Justice proud today. Thank you all very much for coming.
So we have some enthusiastic people. If you want to do a couple of chants, I want you to say. Hey, we didn't go over time. I'm so proud.